Welcome to the fourth leg of our virtual tour of Pompeii. In this tour, we will focus on death in Pompeii. We will explore some of the graveyards or necropolises outside the city gates. Necro means dead, and polis means city. So literally a necropolis means city of the dead. So we actually look at how that breaks out. So necro equals dead, and then polis means city. So necropolis equals city of the dead. Today we call necropolis a graveyard. And Pompeii itself is literally a city of the dead. It's a city that's frozen in time. As you explore Pompeii, you can see evidence of all of the Roman lives that were interrupted for eternity by the eruption of Vesuvius. So we will explore some of the victims of Vesuvius and also some of the cemeteries. Death was a huge part of the Roman world. Up to half of all Romans died before the age of 10. If you did reach the age of 10, there was a good chance you could live well into your 50s or 60s. So the childhood mortality rate was incredibly high until age 10. After you get past age 10, there's a good chance you're going to live into old age. Now, when Romans passed away, unlike modern times, the Romans would usually cremate their dead. And they usually would build a tomb or a simple headstone and place it along the road into the town. And usually the cremains or the remains of the Roman who passed away would be placed in the tomb or underneath it, buried underneath the tomb. And as mentioned before, it is illegal to bury the dead within the city walls of Roman towns. So necropolises or graveyards usually appeared on the roads leading into Roman towns. And Pompeii has graveyards all along the major gates into the city. So we're looking at Pompeii right now. Let's get to outline the city again. So here's the actual city outline. And here is the Marine Gate where he came in during the first tour. Here's the Forum. Over here are the two theaters, the amphitheater, and then over here is the Villa of Mystery. So there's a gate right here, and there's a graveyard through this road. There's a gate over here by the amphitheater, and there's graveyards along this road right here. And there's a gate here and a gate over here, and there's some graves on this route right here as well. And there are some graves here at this gate as well. So we're going to explore this area today and also this area over here. So let's get in close right over here on the Nola Gate. Actually, I think I have it right. I have it preloaded here. I do. Perfect. So we're going to zoom in right here. And that's this right here. So this is outside what they call the Nola Gate. And in the early hours of 25 August 79 AD, the rain of volcanic matter falling on Pompeii started to ease off. There was a break in the eruption. And there's a small group of around 20 to 21 people who attempted to leave the city through the Nola Gate, which is back up here. They were hoping to escape the eruption. Now, as this group made its way out the Nola Gate, the volcanic humus had built up almost several feet. So walking was incredibly slow and difficult. They had to climb over all this volcanic matter that had piled up over the last day. Many of the victims that tried to escape through here, they weren't carrying very much. They had random objects or coins. Some of the objects were religious mementos. One man carried a dagger. Another carried a little statue of the goddess Fortuna. And between all the people in this group, they only carried around 500 sesterces. And let me actually bring that up in a document here so you can see it. And basically, this amount equals 1 mule. So they weren't carrying very much. They only were carrying enough money between all of them to buy 1 mule. So it wasn't a huge amount. These people were not rich. And as they made their way out of Pompeii, you'll see, you can't really see it from here, but down here you'll see there's kind of like a little like a lean-to structure. See if I can I can't really get too close to it because the 3D image is up on the road above it. But if we get a little closer up here, right there, maybe. Nope, I must be back here. There we go. You'll see there's that lean-to structure. Underneath it is a tomb, but right here's the road. And basically, the group of people are making their way down through here. And as they made their way down there, the pyroclastic surge from Vesuvius wiped them all out. And this is basically, I'll show you how the archaeologists found these people down here. This is a reconstruction by some archaeology students. And basically, you'll see right here is that tomb we talked about in the lean-to structure. Oh, can't do that here. So you'll see the tomb, there's a lean-to structure. Here are all the bodies they found, and here's the road. If you look at Google Earth again, you'll see there is that tomb, and right here is that road. So this is how archaeologists found the bodies. I think they found them around 1907, I believe. You'll see that some people just kind of like, they fell down. Rather dramatically. One person you'll see is in a fetal position, kind of holding his head. Another person you can see kind of climbing up. This person right here is holding this person's leg. You can see them touching. These two people are holding hands. It's a fairly intimate position. A lot of these, and you see this one person right here, their arm and leg is kind of propped up. Most likely they had their hand or arm on something that was blown away, or as they were covered up, it was raised up. So you'll see that this is it's kind of a tragic picture. Again, these are archaeology students who are basically reproducing how the bodies are found. Now, where these bodies were found is next to this tomb. This tomb is the tomb of Obelius Firmus. He was kind of a Pompeian bigwig. He had died a couple of decades earlier, and his tomb was used as kind of like a local message board. Let me scroll up here on this sheet right here, and I'll show you what that looks like here. So here's Obelius's tomb. You'll see it's kind of partially destroyed. It had a kind of a roof to it. But here are the graffiti found on the edge of it here. And the graffiti there's multiple layers of graffiti. Some of the graffiti was advertising gladiator shows at the amphitheater. Some were messages between friends. Like one says, "Hello, Habitus, from your mates everywhere." And it had like a little phalanx symbol next to it. So some were kind of jokes, so forth. You'll see here's the Habitus graffiti right there. Now, Obelius was fairly wealthy, and so you'll see right above here there was an inscription, and that inscription basically declared that Obelius's tomb was paid for by the local town council at the cost of 5,000 sesterces, which basically equaled about, if 500 sesterces is one mule, 5,000 is 10 mules. So you can see that Obelius was quite the bigwig in the town. And this is how you spell Obelius's name. Obelius Firmus. So we archaeologists have found Obelius's house. Now Obelius died about 2 decades prior to the eruption. So his family was still living in Pompeii, and they found his house because they found inscriptions in the house that identified it as belonging to Obelius. Now, one thing I want to mention before we actually leave here and go to Obelius's house is over here you'll see the internal components, or the internal layout of the tomb, which is right here. And you'll see inside, underneath there, you'll see there was a urn for remains and also a little gravestone right above there. Which is kind of cool. So let's head over to Obelius's house and take a quick look at that. Let me close this off here. So Bilius' house wasn't too far from his grave. So his grave is right about here, and his house is right here. So he didn't live very far from where he was buried. Let's get a little closer to his house. You'll see there's his name. Let's look at street view here and see what it looked like on the street in front of his house. And his pretty much it wasn't much to see except he had a large entranceway. So here's Obilius's house, and it's not much to look at right now, but it was a very large house by Pompeian standards. And here's the main entrance. We can get a little closer to it here. Oh, went right by it. So right here would have been his main entrance. Let's actually go inside the house. And again, here's his house. Get a little closer. Okay, so we're in the main kind of entranceway to his house. And some things to take note is these columns are huge. They're like about probably 15 feet tall or higher. And you just imagine, like when you saw in the House of Mysteries, which you'll see next week, that has a reconstructed roof. Just imagine a wooden roof that kind of slanted inwards with a oculus or an opening in the center, which would have let rainwater down into this impluvium, which is kind of like a internal water feature for the house. It would have been used to collect rainwater, and there might have been actually a cistern or a well underneath this to collect the water. So you can imagine this room is quite large. And as we scroll around, what you're going to see over here is a little shrine. So this might have been a shrine to the Roman god Lares, which was kind of like the Roman god of the house, or it could have been a shrine to another god or goddess. So you can see his house is quite large. Here's the main entrance again. And over here you can see he had a garden. And you know, most Pompeians didn't have gardens in their homes, so you know this is definitely a person who had money. Let's actually see if we can get into the garden. And here we are. You'll see he had a walkway that probably would have been covered, so you can kind of get out of the sun and walk around the garden. And here you would have had a garden. I think there's a fountain over there, and rooms all along the courtyard area. You can see they've reconstructed the roof a little bit through here. You can just imagine that up along this top part going along to provide some shade. You can see inside, you just barely see it, that you can see some of the original decorations to the room. You can see it wasn't wallpaper, but it was more like a painting to kind of provide decoration. When you go into the House of Mystery, you'll see a finer detail, this type of Roman interior decoration. So this is the house of Obilius Firmus. So we've found his tomb and we've been into his house. So let's move on to the next part of our tour.